So when we think of HIV/AIDS, right now in 2016, we don't feel as threatened by it. But this was not the case in 1981. So in 1981, in June 5th, the Morbidity Weekly Report reported 5 cases of something that I'm probably going to butcher the name, but it's pneumocystis carinii pneumonia. And there were 5 cases of homosexual men who were drug using and were sexually active. So this sparked a lot of outrage in society, because by the time this was reported, already 2 of those 5 people had already died. Then it did not help the fact that there was another report later in the same year of 41 homosexual men with Kaposi sarcoma, which is understandable to understand how it would seem like HIV, because they would have the same spots in the skin that those infected with HIV/AIDS would have. So by the end, when this was reported, 8 men had already died inside of 2 years. In 24 months, they had already died. So this was something that was happening really fast, and it was kind of like a death sentence when one got it. And this is what was known as the outbreak of HIV/AIDS in the 80s. So what did not help was that researchers and scientists were calling this the gay-related immunodeficiency. And this brought about more stigma, and society thought that this was a God's punishment to gay men for having this disease. So this was God's punishment, and the media was calling it the gay plague, which did not help at all for society to be more accepting of this. However, the gay community struck back, and recently we had Larry Kramer here, who is a big activist for HIV/AIDS, and they fought back and they asked for more research, and that's what scientists did. And they came up with 2 hypotheses, and one of them was that it was due to sexual behavior and drug use. So there was a shift. There was a shift from seeing it as a death sentence to more of a chronic disease that was treatable. There was treatment, not a cure, and there's still not a cure, but there was more of treatments, and there was not a death sentence like it was seen before. So there started big campaigns of prevention in ways that you could get infected and ways that you couldn't get infected. People thought that you could get infected by giving someone a kiss on the cheek, holding hands, sharing a toilet, sharing utensils with them. So there was this big campaign of telling people, no, you're not gonna get infected by this. You're not going to die. But there were also ways to inform people of how they could be infected, which was through sexual behavior, sharing needles, things like that, and ways to prevent it, like using condoms and things like this. And there was also big campaigns of like not using drugs because it could result in contracting HIV/AIDS. So now there's still a lot of stigma, especially from religious affiliations. They still think that this is God's punishment to the homosexual community. And there was a recent study not long ago that compared in 1992 and in 2013 religious affiliations, people with religious affiliations, and how they thought of HIV/AIDS as something that was a punishment. And we still see a big prevalence, and people even people that do not have any religious affiliations feel that they deserved it because they either had sex or used drugs, so they deserved it. And with women, this kind of shifts a little because it's seen as promiscuity. So if the we should think about when we think of HIV and this as a paradigm shift. Thank you.